Hi everybody, thank you for joining me, Living Divinity. So today I want to talk about legacy. I guess we have our own idea of what exactly a legacy should entail. For me, my legacy has to do with who my grandparents were. And my grandparents built their home here in 1956. This is where they brought their children to raise, to go to school, to learn, to be a part of a community. So my aunties, my mom, and my uncle, they all grew up here. And I believe my grandparents' intentions were that it would be here for generations. Their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. Now, I do have some cousins that are here and that have been here their whole lives. So that would be my grandparents, my aunt, my cousin, her firstborn, and then their children and their children's children. So that's 7 generations here. But everybody else moved away. So in 1965, I believe it was, they started the Cabatuan family reunion. And it was always here at Leroy Park. And we had relatives that came from San Francisco, Oakland area. And we had relatives that came from LA area and then in between. So as our family grew, like I ended up on the East Coast for 20-something years. So it actually spread out. And then a lot of my cousins and a couple of my brothers, they joined the army. So they were in different places like in Germany or Hawaii or whatnot, different places. So the family reunion was supposed to be to gather everybody together. And there were supposed to be supporting things happening that would make our family reunions more easier and give us more time to enjoy our family. So my grandparents, you probably heard in 1 or 2 other videos, my grandparents had a pool hall here in town. And in one corner there was a restaurant with Filipino food. And the other corner was an ice cream parlor. So they would get the people in there to play cards and to shoot pool. And everything was there for them. So the business was given, not given to do what you want with. It was given to one of my aunts and uncles. And it was supposed to be to build the business, to keep it running, to make money for the family, not only their family, but other family members, maybe my grandparents. The property was sold in the middle of the night, and that family took the money and they were gone for 20-something years or whatever it was. And then my grandparents' house was supposed to be for people who need a place to stay, not wait till grandma dies and people take over and go through the court system and say, oh, only one person is deserving of it, when the universal law, what grandma wanted, should just have stayed in place. Now, that house was not for someone to collect money and spend. That house was to collect money to build a legacy, a foundation, to honor my grandparents. So between the business and the house, there could be a lot of success. There could have been a lot of money collected. Say, for example, we had a cousin that needed some type of surgery, and the money wasn't available elsewhere. So whoever's in charge of the foundation would group together and decide how we're going to help this family member. Or it could have been used for to help with the family reunions, so that way people wouldn't have to take money out of their pockets. So all these things were in place. But people heard what they wanted to hear or dismissed what they wanted to dismiss. So now there is no real Cabatuan legacy. Now, I started my life over twice. My growing up, my rearing years. I'm sorry, hold on one second. My rearing years, I was able to be around my grandmother till I was 11 or 12. After that, my life just changed, and it was like a roller coaster. So leaving Guadalupe for me was the worst thing my parents could have ever done. But if I didn't learn how to deal with all that I've had to deal with, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So on one hand, it was a blessing. On the other hand, it was a curse. So now I'm rebuilding my life. I'm trying to speak the truth. I'm trying to get these people to see that they still have time to make things right. You know, no one should be not honoring where they come from. You know, because certain people weren't left on the so-called will that doesn't even really exist now, doesn't mean that grandma loved them less. Doesn't mean that grandpa loved them less. What it means is the house was left to the people that grandma really believed would honor her and have the house be as it's supposed to be. Now my family members can hate me. They can say, why am I stirring up stuff from the past? Why can't you just let it just lie and just be done with? Why do you have to bring it back up? Because if grandma was alive but couldn't speak, she would want me to speak about it. Can you imagine being alive and having this big wish for your following generations? And leaving people out that you love them, but you felt like they wouldn't look out for your best interest. It happens in more than just my family. It happens everywhere you turn around. Everybody wants to honor that person while they're alive, but once they die, they suddenly forget what that person wanted, what their wishes were. Can we just live our whole life and know that we didn't do what grandma wanted us to do? We didn't handle properties the way grandma wanted us to handle it. So I'm not here to crucify anyone. I'm just here to say, when you propose a will and when you know what you know, you choose the people who you think are going to carry through. The craziest thing is my mom was on the will, but she died. Grandma said, everybody knows whatever goes to your mother goes to her children. So the house was left to my sister who cared for my grandparents. The house was left to my mom, and the house was left to the first grandson that carried the name. So things happened on the worldly court level that said only one deserves it. That was my cousin Mark. And then somehow my uncle got the house. I love my uncle. I don't wish anything to happen to him. I don't wish him any pain. I don't wish his wife any harm. I don't wish anything bad to go to their family. But they're both still alive, and they both can still make it right. Who's going to put her out? Who's going to put him out? Who's going to put their handicapped daughter out? Nobody, but, who's going to take care of her handicapped daughter when she's too old? Will her daughter be able to stay in that house till she dies? That would be the right way. But everybody will want to honor her until she dies. After that, who knows what's going to happen to her daughter? Only God knows. And then what's going to happen to the house? Will my aunt put it back to how it's supposed to be? Will she honor her mother-in-law's wishes when she's been told exactly what the wishes were? The house is meant for family members who need a place to stay to get back on their feet. Not to live there for free for 30 years and not give anything back to any other family members. Not put any money into a pot to reflect, at least close to what Grandma wanted for that house. So that's the legacy that my bloodline, that my family wishes, I guess, to sweep it under the rug. I'm the only one that's talking about it. And I don't care if I'm hated. I don't care if I'm misunderstood. What I care about is getting the message to the people. I'm not perfect, okay? So you can't talk about my secrets when you have secrets of your own. And all of my secrets are put out there. Your secrets are all hidden. I don't deny anything that happened to me in my life that maybe I caused, or maybe, I carried a heavy part of that. I have, and I still have things that I have to talk about. But I never claimed that I was perfect. I never claimed that I never did anything wrong. I can only tell you, I know what my grandmother wanted with that house. I know what she wanted with that business. So people need to start honoring. They need to start honoring my grandparents. Because without them, where would any of us be? And sooner or later, the rest of my family will hear these videos where I talk about certain uncles and certain cousins who tried to run my grandfather's name in the ground, what are they going to say? We don't really believe her. She did do a video, and you know, if you ask anybody, she always tells the truth. She always tells what she knows is the truth. And then some people will say, well, there's always another side to the story. What other side to the story could there be that they were talking smack about a dead guy in the ground that couldn't speak for himself, who happens to be their own grandfather? Who does that? My grandfather served in World War I and World War II. He was a businessman in this town who had a set of 4 walls with 3 businesses in it that were making money. He built his house. The house is all redwood. The framing underneath is all redwood. It's all the original, you know, besides the plywood or whatever, drywall, redoing a bathroom, all the main structure of that house is still solid as a rock. And that's what my grandparents' foundation, their legacy is supposed to be. So, a personal legacy would be personal values, personal accomplishments, and actions that resonate with people around you. My grandfather had asked the neighbor who owned the plot of land on the east side of their home. He said, look, you're not building on here. Can I plant vegetables? Can I plant a garden? My grandfather, he gardened. He brought in so much food for the family. He went to the railroad tracks on the days the train stopped, brought the hobos over to the house to feed them. He was one of the people at the Catholic Church who helped collect the money. He helped with the senior center. He had a business in town. He was a World War I and World War II veteran. Now, why would my cousins want to take that away from their own grandfather? What would possess them to do that? I don't know, maybe everybody needs to ask them. Because I don't associate with them for that reason. And everybody else could put blinders on. But know that that is the truth of what I speak. How dare they? They don't even honor their mother. Their mother's been dead for 5, 7, 8 years. They don't even have a headstone for her. And they're supposed to be people with money. Where's the disgrace? It's right there. So they disgrace their own mom. They disgrace their own grandparents. Right now they're only showing grace to their father because he's alive and he's got the money. Or whatever, however they feel about him. I don't really know. I see maneuvers. I see people positioning themselves. That's what I see. When my mother passed away, things were just taken out of the house. That should never have been taken out. The younger ones. actually suffer from it most, because the older ones that were some of the takers had their own house. This was our home. To have them come and take things, to come home to an empty house just because mom died, to never see those items again, and if we do, it's not ours. It's not even to be shared with us. My personal family, my siblings, my oldest brother, he had to pull the plug on my mom in the 70s. I don't know why, but they made the family members do it. I had to see my mom's eyes roll around. I was the only one there when she took it ill and my dad was trying to get her to the hospital. But my own family, except for my brother, they have no compassion for what I had to endure during those times. How would they like the idea of their mother's eyes rolling in the back of their head, in the back of her head, I'm sorry, and to actually visualize that you see it. You can't not see it after that. You can't pretend it never happened. How could they not have compassion for me to have to go through that? My legacy is to wake everybody the fuck up and start doing right. Treat my dead sister's kids with honor and respect as if she was alive. Don't discard them. Mom would be rolling around in her grave if she could, to let you know that she's not happy with how you guys did Tanya's kids. And Tanya certainly isn't happy about it either. You think people just die and then they're just in the ground? No, their spirits are free. My legacy is to wake my family members up, to know that speaking half-truths is a lie, to throw rocks and then hide your hands is bad, to take someone's innocence away because you like to gossip, to disrupt other people's lives because you have this little bit of control. Our family reunions is supposed to be my grandparents' legacy. And I'm thankful for the Patagannans for carrying it on. Their mom was the oldest out of my grandparents' children, so I guess it would be natural for them to do that. And I appreciate them. But you see, things could be a lot easier if there was some sort of savings put away. You know, my uncle living in the house, that should be like an automatic thing. And my aunt, I'd already told her, doesn't matter if your husband doesn't want to honor his mother. As a woman, you must honor your mother-in-law's wishes. So when they see this video, this will be the third time I said it. Because I told her twice, and Uncle took me out. He tried to tell me that Grandma put him on the will before she died. And I said, I don't know about that, Uncle. I said, when I heard that Auntie Annie gave you the executorship, I called her and asked her why. She said it just made more sense that you were down here and she was up there. And that trust was taken advantage of. That house now, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, could get at least $2,400 a month. That's over $24,000 a year for the past 2 or 3 years. And prior to that would be $2,000 a month for 2 or 3 years, and so forth and so on. That money could be collected and helped with people, with their own daughter. Their own daughter's handicapped. They could get a handicap van for her to cart her around and take her places where she needs to go. There's a lot of things that kind of money could buy. It could buy food for our family members when things get rough and there's nowhere else to turn. To last through generations. That's what that house is supposed to be. Now I'll keep talking about it. I'll keep talking about it. And people can ignore me, or they can do right. But sooner or later, someone's going to want to do right about it. So moving forward, so like a new family, a husband and wife, they've been together for 25 years, they've raised 4 kids, and they have a successful life. So they want to begin their new legacy regarding their individual family. So that would be creating something that would endure the test of time for generations. So in that event, it's like my oldest sister, I told her, I said, you just have to have a plan. You can't just say, I'm going to have them sell the house when me and my husband die, and then it gets split up between me, all the first kids, and then all the grandkids. I said, if everyone got $100,000 and, there's no direction, oh, here's $100,000, just go do whatever you want with it. I told her, I said, some of them's going to want to buy a car that's $90,000. And then what are they going to have? They're going to have nothing, because that car is not going to last. You have to have a plan that makes sense for the legacy to carry on. Like, why would you want to work your whole life to build $1 million legacy that's can be spent after you die in 3 months if the money's mishandled, right? What kind of legacy are you leaving? You're leaving a legacy of, well, I made the money and it was just thrown out the window. It has to make sense. So as far as Ancestry.com, they say they have some records going back to 1500. And a lot of people have found things up to 1700. My family legacy, I don't know who my father's real dad is, and in the future I'm gonna search for that. So right now I'm focusing on my grandparents, who there's a whole province in the Philippines that carry his name. So obviously his family was someone of importance. So eventually, I'm hoping before I die, I hope that I can get to the Philippines, go see the city of this municipality, Capitan, and see what I could find out and see what kind of records I could find. You know, it's important to know where we come from. So when I talk about a new legacy, it's the bloodline. It's your bloodline. You know, you either come from royalty or you come from peasantville. Now, it doesn't mean a peasant can't become royalty. Look at Princess Catherine. But the bloodline's important. Your bloodline is important. People in high places didn't get there without having a certain amount of intelligence. So as you marry up or marry down, you know, it's you share genetics with who you choose to live with and have a family with. And those children have, they have, of course, my blood and their father's blood. But I will tell you this. I've told people, my grandma, she was a Lopez. She married my grandfather Capitan. But my grandmother holds high places in heaven. And Lopez is a very common name in the Philippines, just as it is in Mexico or Spain, I'm guessing, right? Because the Spaniards came to the Philippines years ago. But what I'm saying is the bloodline. You don't get your smarts from text reading. You can, but how much of that will you actually, are you intelligent enough to read a book and absorb what you're reading? My aunt, I believe she designed something, and I believe that she woke up from a dream about it. And I myself have had the same things happen to me, where I woke up out of, wasn't even really like a deep sleep. It was just like how you feel in the morning when you're sleeping, and then the sun, the light from the sun hits on your eyes, and then all of a sudden you wake up. And I woke up and I had ideas that are still in the workings. I'm still trying to get my tribe together. I'm still trying to find the people, the right people, that are going to stand by me and work with me and become equal partners with me on this venture. And I came back here to reach out to my individual family members, my siblings, my cousins. Everybody wanted to hear about it, but nobody wanted to partake. So as I'm moving up, as I am ascending, as God is giving me the power to keep speaking to all you folks, to wrap around the whole world, because the internet is around the world, right? So all the people that turn their backs on me, who I was willing to share with, they will be handled accordingly when these things that God promised me comes into fruition. And I promise you that the rest of my days I will give what I can to the Lord of my time, and I will speak as much as I think of what he wants me to say, of the things that he wants me to make clear as possible. To start your legacy, it takes the research of where you came from, the understanding, in my family, we really did have a lot of smart individuals in my individual family. But what did we do with our intelligence? How did we use it? Well, everyone in my family can cook really good. And, I lag behind them a little bit. But some of the things I make are just as good, if not better. That's boys and girls. They could all cook. My mom, she used to sew. And I think my oldest sister and my two oldest sisters, they used to sew, make clothes and stuff, which is really a talent. And my daughter does that. Then I have my brothers who they were kind of like inventing different little things here and there. And then my brother's son, he could in his mind do the math. And I say that because it takes a certain amount of math to go on a golf course and putt around and do the long shots and test the wind. So he was very good in that. So we have a lot of talent. Now that's just my family. My oldest, the oldest in my mom's family, my Auntie Felicia, her children, they all have different things that they're very good at. I got a cousin that does jewelry with the hooks and everything. It looks very nice what she does. And then I have my cousin Arcee, who, God bless him, but back in the day he could do acrobats when, acrobats were basically only really seen on TV, I guess they had them at the high schools, but I don't think they were that prominent in the 70s around our area. And, we just had a lot of different talents in our family. My uncle, my mom's youngest brother, or the only brother, the youngest child, his youngest son from his first marriage, he could do tile work. He can do mosaic. He could do very talented. So you see, if all of us had joined together, and we had like this warehouse of all of our products that we could make or things that we can do, I mean, we could really have like our own little shopping center, Like if we had a big barn and we could section it off, well, this is the Pili section, this is the Patagonan section, this is, the Telogan section, this is the Williams section, My cousin Roxanne, she's a styling girl. She can do all the dances of all times. She can do makeup and fingernails and hair and dress and heels and just like a really down-to-earth prima donna, very nice lady, my cousin Roxanne. And so when you talk about legacy, we don't just get that from anywhere. All these little talents are through our bloodline. So we have to honor where we come from. We can't just honor where we are today. Well, you can if you want, but, you didn't get your intelligence from just being born. It came from somewhere. It came from generations. So be proud of where you come from. Be proud to take your life and grab it by the horns and live your life with the passion, with the things that you really love. You know, I'm so happy for those families that have been together for 40 or 50 years, or even 60. They've been together their whole adult lives, since high school sweethearts, some of them. I didn't get the opportunity to have that because, well, I guess I didn't really have the training. I didn't have, my mom to ask questions to about, boys and stuff like that. And, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with living my life and having lived through everything that I've lived through, because no one has experienced all the things that I ever experienced. You know, I worked many jobs. I was successful at every job that I ever did. I mastered every job. That was like my intent when I got hired. I wanted to know everything about that job, and then everything about the next job related to it, and so forth and so on. That was my job, is to learn. And my downfall is that I wouldn't even consider it downfall. It's just who I am. I could never do one job for 20 years. I think it takes a special person to be a nurse for 20 years. I think it takes a special person to be a caregiver for the elderly for 20 years. For many different reasons. But I like to do different things. I don't really like doing one thing for 20 years. That's just never been my goal. My goal is to learn, keep learning. As long as I'm learning, then I feel like I have things to look forward to. I have things to accomplish. I have things that are readily available for me to decide, am I going to pick this up today, or am I going to lay it down and work on something else? That's the beauty of getting to the point where you can live your life the way you want to live your life. I'm not out here hurting anybody, and if I'm hurting your feelings, you probably deserve it. Okay? I'm just going to put it out there like that. Because I try to be kind to everybody, and they don't know everything that I know. And I think my mom was kind of like that too. Mom didn't just go around and gossip about a whole bunch of stuff that all these different people did. You know, she was a listener. And she was very kind to everybody. She helped everybody that she could. And my mom was on a budget, but she always tried to help people. She always tried to be a good listener to people. She always tried to, have solutions. I never got to experience my mom like that because I was 12. So as much as my siblings want to say that I'm spoiled, after all these years, that I was spoiled growing up, it's not true. They didn't have to look at Mom's eyes when she was dying. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have that image stuck in their head. Just as my oldest brother, he has the image of having to pull the plug on my mom's life support. The oldest and the youngest are forever. That's a damage really that just really can't be repaired. But if you have the love of your family, that makes all the difference. But if you don't, then you just have to accept it and move on. Move on. I've been here since December 2020. I've said my piece to everybody that I needed to say my piece to. And it's not even my piece. Some of it is mine, but how can we look at ourselves in the mirror knowing A, We talked about dead people in a bad way. I don't talk about any of my family members who have died in a bad way. I don't believe in that. I believe that when you talk ill about the dead, that it riles them up. It riles them up. It doesn't allow them to rest. And what does that say about you? Who will talk about someone who can't even speak up for themselves and tell lies like on my grandfather? Even my grandmother, when she was preparing to die, she had my cousin over there with my sister Tanya. My cousin was just looking for money. She's like, Grandma, I'm going to find money in one of these drawers. She never found $1. That's how she remembers her own grandmother? Oh my God. Like, what do you say to someone who says that to you? You get speechless. Like, that's the last thing I would think about is Grandma wanted me to help remove her items because she knows she's going to pass, and all I'm doing is looking for money? That's not even something funny to say. Grandma gave all her money away. No. Her parents took the business and sold it. That's the truth. So you see how it's all reflected. The parents reflected onto their children the mishaps of their grandparents. Oh, their grandparents trusted it in the wrong hands. Oh, whose hands were those? Who benefited from that? And now you're talking about her because she's dead and she didn't save a will for you with money in it? I just can't believe that. People, we need to wake up. We need to start pretending like God is watching us when we speak, when we act, when we do. You want to know why? Because He is. He's right over us. He's the most intelligent being, creature, spirit, whatever you want to call Him, in the whole universe. He can hear what I'm saying, and He can hear what 20 million people in China are saying. There's one God, one love. We need to start being more loving to our family members, more loving to our neighbors, more loving to our community, more loving to your doggy who's on the sofa right now, scratching, trying to get comfortable. He's my baby. He's 11. He's pretty much allowed to do kind of whatever he wants. I just don't want him chewing or licking himself because he gets to be a little bit obsessive about it. But people, please, pray to God. Pray to God that you are able to have a legacy for your family, for your children. But make a plan that is reasonable. Make it add up. Make it, if you do like a foundation, I'm understanding like a foundation is like totally tax-free. A foundation, I think you have to have like some, I don't really know if I'm actually saying it right, but like four people on the list, you know, whatever, the president, the vice president, the secretary, and then the treasurer, whatever that may be. But make sure that you are building something good to leave to your family. Make sure they understand the importance of holding on to it, of maintaining it, of having a record, of taking care of the property. Make sure the right people are in there handling your finances for you to take care of whatever it is that you're having for your legacy. Make sure everything is clear and cut. And you could always say that it's not in stone, that it would take this to make a change, or whatever it is that you would want to say. But the idea, like for my family, was to have an abundance of money flowing into that house. So if there's ever a famine where even the government fails the people, that there will be money to support our individual families that belong under the Cabotuan legacy that could benefit from it if it came to where they needed it. And everybody has to put in, even energetically putting in. I don't, honestly, I go to the cemetery, I feel like I'm the only one going. And it really breaks my heart. When I lived away, I always had to go to the cemetery first. That was the first place I just had to go. Even if it was just looking at the marker and just walking by it and then leaving, I always had to go to the cemetery first. Why do I have family members that don't even care about going? It's heart-wrenching. And for me to talk about it is healing. So think about the legacy. Think about what you want to leave your children. Think about your grandchildren. Think about how will you make it grow. Think about who will you have to ensure these are my words and these are what I want you to live by. Nowadays we have the internet. So, if my grandma was alive and she had posted it on here, if they had the internet back then everybody could just say, hey, grandma's online. Don't you remember what she said? Go listen to her. So I started doing these videos. I started doing this Facebook stuff because I was disconnected from my daughter. And I thought, oh my God, if I die, how is she going to know anything? How is she going to even have an inkling of who I really am and what she means to me? So when we reconnected, she says, Mom, yeah, I kind of made a fake account. I was checking in on you every now and then, make sure you're still kicking, I said, I know. I said, I left it open for that reason, so that you could always see me, that you could see me whenever you wanted to see me. And that's the beauty of the internet. So again, real quick, your legacy, write it down. Write down all your particulars. Don't seal it yet, because you need to pray about it. You need to think about it. You need to make some changes. You need to tweak it until you feel like it's just right. And then you can implement it. And then you can start figuring out how you're going to implement it. How are you going to make it work? Everything will come to you through your prayers, through asking God, be with me. Be with me. So I make sure my children are taken care of after I go. So that, how do I make them understand the importance of this? So forth and so on. You pray to God, He'll answer you, I promise you. He's been with me my whole life. I was blessed to have grandparents who had God all around them. And when I went to live my life, I lived my life. But I always kept God a little bit close to me, and God always stayed a little bit close to me. And on my deepest hour, I promise you, God was right there with me. And I prayed to God, I gotta get out of this situation.
Go fast or go slow.
I gotta get out of this situation. I can't do this anymore. And God divinely guided me out of that relationship. That is my truth. That was the beginning of my awakening. So I'm very passionate about how I feel about the Lord, the Creator, the Source, Heavenly Father, God Almighty, Spirit. It's one God, one love. God is love, love is God. If you love, then you must have God within you. You have to purify it. You have to protect it. You have to build it. You have to strengthen it. That is what God would want you to do with yourself. Heal yourself. Be better. Do better. Know better. Do better. God bless you all. Thank you for being with me. I hope you have been with me the whole 56 minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you. God bless. See you next time.